This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Ooh, what up? No, it is another Tuesday. This is Knockouts and 3 Counts, and this is my Facebook. I do what I want. With that being said, it's a new episode of Knockouts and 3 Counts, and man, do we got a lot to talk to you about from AAA at Worlds Collide, Money in the Bank, which thank you to everybody that came out to our party with our friends from Potters of Destiny. Shout out to Ken and their sage advisor, Mr. Corey Woods. We appreciate y'all. We had a good time there. We were about 50 deep, bro. 50 deep for money in the bank over there. And you had UFC 316 on right after it. It was a good time. If we could have got rid of the damn cottonwoods, I would have been really good that night.
People were drinking, having spirits. We had some good food. We had a great waitress. We had all that good stuff. Everything was great on Saturday night, man. The show was great. People were great. It was all good.
Yeah, I had a great time on Saturday, but man, we had some stuff that also went down on Saturday before our party that we got to talk about first, man. AAA and WWE presented Worlds Collide, which now has been touted as breaking the company's live stream YouTube record, which I watched the show. It was I loved it. I liked that it had a AAA feel to it. Yeah. And I like I said, dude, I'm very much so looking forward to seeing how that goes, because they also announced that Triple Mania is still going to happen coming up here soon. So I hope, for selfish reasons, we see past guests of the show, our homie El Rudo de las Chicas, Sam Adonis. I seen the pictures being they were holding up to Sam Adonis in the crowd. But
yeah,
what'd you think of AAA Worlds Collide, bro?
Dude, it was a great feel. Like you said, it was very AAA-esque. Like the environment and the crowd there was just like it. Honestly, I thought a lot about Lucha Underground too, which was cool. Just the way the mat structure was, just the way the crowd was darkened. Like it's a good vibe, dude. But the matches themselves, great stuff. Gable put on a great show with Vikingo. I guess what we got the most out of this was our guy, Mr. Iguana there. He became like the overnight sensation out of the weekend, I would say.
Absolutely, dude.
Did you see his jump in Twitter followers? It was like 20.
Dude, I don't doubt it. I've been seeing Mr. Iguana everywhere, whether that's
like
comparisons to Gold Dust
to 80,000 followers in like 2 days because of that.
Good, because I enjoyed the hell out of it. I mean, dude, when they beat the hell out of the Iguana, though, I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, dude. But that's only in generational sense, that's the third puppet that we got, right? We had Sacco, then we had the Cobra.
We still have the Cobra. Shout out to Santino Marella picking up a dub on Friday at Under Siege.
Name?
Labresca, I think, but I could be wrong.
Layeska. That's
there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, unless we're missing some sock puppet in between, which I'm not sure, but.
Well, Hiromu Takahashi has got the stuffed animal that he has, so I don't know if that counts.
I don't know if that counts or not. Hand puppets, right? I don't know. Either way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same thing, but yeah, I enjoyed it. That match was dope. And then, out of that match, we kind of had like a flashback to like Lucha history with, them filling in the dots. That's another thing I really liked. I really liked Conan on commentary. Him and Corey Graves were dope. I liked the way that Conan kind of filled in some of the history for AAA, which was what was also cool about that match, considering and it was him, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner, and then you had Octagon Jr., which it's cool because they talked about the relationship with him and Ray, and lo and behold, who's in the front row but Dom and Liv. And then Dom gets in there and just starts raising hell, which led to an Intercontinental title match, which we'll talk about once we get to Money in the Bank. Shout out to everybody that's joining the stream. We got a lot to talk about. We're in the middle of talking about AAA Worlds Collide. We're also going to talk about Money in the Bank and UFC 316, our new world champion, all kinds of stuff. Make sure you comment, like, share it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Do you think that
Corey will be joining us
we're
in a
going to
minute?
see a lot of guys going over to AAA for that stuff? Like maybe, I guess, NXT guys, but I feel like we'll see Dirty Dom over there at least once or twice.
I'd love to see that.
I think that'd be a good little blend of talent going back and forth. I think
I would love to see that. I'm totally cool with that.
and I mean, in the heritage is there for Dirty Dom. You know what I mean? So why not add that to the bucket
I liked
list?
the video they had of Ray in there too before they brought him
Yeah.
out, like before the match
Yeah.
started. I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, it was good stuff. That was a good show. Good vibe.
Enjoyed that. What did you think of? And shout out to Stephanie Yvette Kerr. She was one of the two that did double duty there. Her and Lola Vice as a tag team might be my new favorite tag team
Yes,
for reasons. But you had that, and then you also had Chad Gable versus El Hijo del Vikingo, which, bro, that match was badass too.
Yeah, killer, dude. I mean, the spots in that match, dope. And then shout out to Gable too. I mean, because he put on a clinic with Vikingo, and then kind of did it again, right in the Money in the Bank match.
Allegedly,
allegedly, we have no proof, but fucking double duty.
Like I said on
killed it.
BCP Plus with Rob yesterday, I'm just saying the body composition is like impeccable. The one champ.
You know what I seen earlier? You see the thing with the boots. You see where he said he loaned him his boots or whatever because they lost his boots at the airport. Essentially, what it was is Americano was wearing the CG boots, right? So the Twitter sphere, the X sphere, as they call it, they're like, it's not him, it's Chelsea Green, and it was like blowing up. It was hilarious. I love that though. I love that we're playing around with all of it. You know what I mean? Like, just have some fun, people. Like, come on.
Hey man, all I'm saying is whether it was Chad Gable or El Grande Americano, man.
Maybe it's Corey Graves.
What'd you say?
Maybe it's Corey Graves. It's CG. Maybe it's Corey Graves.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'd love to see Corey Graves back in the ring though.
Oh, me too. Wasn't that a thing for a while? I thought he got
What up,
cleared.
though, Chris?
What's up, Chris?
I know he said that he's cleared. Chris, what'd you think of Worlds Collide? Did you watch it? I would be down with seeing that. What do you think about the fact that they're still running Triple Mania? What do you think that's gonna look like now that it's quote unquote WWE product?
I think it's great. I mean, anything if you can keep that like I said, the heritage of that AAA alive in a sense, like it's all good. But I don't want them to like shine it up too much though. You know what I mean? Because you've seen how well they did a really good job on Saturday with that because it looked like, you know, your original AAA stuff. It looked like the lucha style, you know, like I said, the crowd, the way the lights were, the way the mat was, it looked like it. So I don't want to lose that touch, but I feel like they're going to give it a shine in some sense. You know, WWE's got to put their mark on everything, or a brand. You know, it might be Slim Jim Triple Mania or something. I don't fucking know. But
I mean,
all in all, I'm glad it's going to be around because, like we always say, the more wrestling, the better.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as the shows are like that, and I like the fact that now that think about like some of the people that means we could see our paths cross again. We already said Sam Adonis, you could see Sam Adonis with WWE and on the same show as his brother Corey Graves. What a fucking sight that could be.
Yeah.
And then you got and then you've got everything. I mean, dude, Pagano coming over to WWE, Vikingo coming over to WWE, like I mean, the possibilities for dope matches, adding that stuff is dope. The same way I think that this TNA partnership, the way that we've seen some of the matchups, the way that's went so far, I've enjoyed what we've seen from all that as
think
well.
About, dude. Think about 10 years ago. We never would imagine talking about WWE partnering with anybody. And here we are. AAA, TNA, every freaking Slim Jim, Fortnite, and Prime bottle in the world. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
I'm not, like I said, coming from the fighting side of things. And for those of you guys who are combat sports fans, we're going to get into UFC 316 and Canelo and Crawford being announced for Netflix. Plus, stay tuned. Clarissa Shields is getting back in the ring July 26th here in Detroit, and we will be credentialed for all of it. I know I'm going to be talking to DAZN this week to hopefully put some things together. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But, let's get to Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank. Overall, I thought it was a good show. Again, I had a great time at Money in the Bank. I didn't win the briefcase, but we had a Money in the Bank briefcase giveaway that had inside it a title signed by one Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Woo! But cool. With all that said,
I didn't get to see the belt. They didn't open the case up for us.
I think they might have while we were down there. I saw it before we got to the thing, but
bet it was pretty.
But yeah, like pretty. I said, Ric Flair autograph is about as good a one as you're gonna get. No,
for sure, definitely.
All right, let's get into it. Naomi wins the women's Money in the Bank. What'd you think of the match? Do you think Naomi's the right choice? Were you surprised by that?
So I got a couple of opinions on it. It wasn't my pick. I can't remember if it was your pick or not. I don't remember who you picked, but it wasn't my pick.
I thought I picked Naomi, and then Lily said I didn't. So Lily might have a better memory.
She's got a better memory than all of us, but it wasn't my pick, but I'm not mad at it because she's been doing great work. Everything she's been doing is on point as far as the character, everything. She looks great in the ring. Everything's good for her. So I'm happy that she won it. Good for her. Just wasn't my pick, but the match I thought was amazing. What a way to kick off the show, set the tone. Those women went out there and put on a clinic, dude. The devil's kiss on the ladder, and then you had the Alexa Bliss did the thing. Roxanne did the pop rocks. It was awesome. What a great show. I'm telling you, every year the women's like gimmick matches, the Money in the Bank, the War Games, all that stuff, they get better and better every single time they do it. And it's crazy. I'll go on and say it right now. I thought the women's was better than the men's. That's just me.
I agree with that. Because I definitely think in the men's most people kind of thought Seth Rollins was going to win.
Yeah.
The women's one, because of how star-studded it was and everything, I mean, it was a lot more kind of up in the air, which is another reason I think it was a really good thing that they had Naomi win, because again, everybody knows she's a former champ and everything. I think this heel work that we're getting, especially her Twitter game, dude. Yes, her Twitter game has been undefeated.
Did you see the birthday cake with the razor blade?
Yo, dude. Her X game, Twitter game has been Did you see the one about the tweet where somebody said that Jade was slated to get a big push and she goes, yeah, push down the stairs?
Yes. Yeah. No, she's doing great work, man. Like I said, she deserves it. And I think Big E put it in the best terms. She has come a long way and she's been working her ass off. So she gets what she's deserving right now. But curious to see where it goes, because I feel like Jade's got to get back on her. You know what I mean? So
they definitely got to run that back.
Maybe we're lining that up for SummerSlam potentially.
SummerSlam and the Big Apple. Haven't been back there since WrestleMania 35 when I was there. You had Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, and we have a new Intercontinental Champion in the man Becky Lynch. I still am sticking by what I said. I think Becky needs to be added to that group with Seth.
I still think it's coming. I think we'll get there. We're gonna.
What did you think of the match? What do you think of Becky winning the title?
You know what? Honestly, going into that, I wasn't as excited until we watched it, and when we watched it, that was a banger match, dude. And I'm happy Becky won. I am. I didn't think she was gonna win because I didn't think they were gonna take it off her that quick. But we're adding to the heel. It was the end of the match, like the post match that got it for me, when she had her putting the belt on her, she had her putting the strap. You know what I mean? And she had her raising her hand, just being the heel that she is. And then Lyra finally snapped on her. That made it all good for me. But good match. Great match.
Hey man,
Did you
I
expect
enjoyed-
Becky to win though? I feel like everybody thought Lyra was going to win.
See, I kind of thought Becky was going to win, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I'm cool.
I mean,
with it.
because you figured she already lost to her in the last one.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you're telling me she's going to come out here and put Becky Lynch down twice?
Yeah, I don't know. Where do we go next with that? You think? You think?
I don't think it's necessarily the end of the thing with Lyra, especially with the fact that Lyra jumped her after the match. Like, you know, maybe if it was clean, I could have seen that. But the fact that, I mean, not as far as the finish, but clean as in, like, they weren't, like, Becky not doing all the extra stuff after the match was over. I think for that
now we
reason,
got Bailey back too. So Bailey
that too. So, I mean, Bailey's going to be inserted into this somehow. So maybe we do kind of like sideline the whole Lyra thing for a minute. I love to see Bailey back too. I mean, I like seeing Bailey on my TV at all times, but at the same time, I
say that
dude,
like that on purpose. Was that a pun or Bailey back?
Take it how you will. But I mean, all I'm saying is I'm always glad to see her back on TV. I just want to see her in some more meaningful storylines to kind of restore, you know, where she's at as far as like a top person in the women's division. I think her and Becky will be a good feud to help do that again, especially with the history of the Four Horsewomen and all that stuff too.
It's like one of those classic rivalries. You know what I mean? It's a classic no matter how they do it. So add it to the chapter book.
I'm with it. What do you think about the purple hair?
I love it, dude. I mean, look, I think it's cool when chicks have colored hair like that, especially in an entertainment form like wrestling, professional wrestling. So I'm with it. She looks like a rock star, dude.
I can get with that. I can get with
Cool
that.
with it.
So, with that being said, what about so we've talked about that with Becky and what she's got coming with that. We also found out that Asuka is going to be back. I'm so glad to finally see that happen. We were just talking about that with Cedric Alexander and the way that she used the mist and all that stuff. Do you got any thoughts on the return of Asuka and how
I was just
did it take
confused.
so long?
I was confused because I missed like the first 15 minutes of the show, but did they just show the brackets and she was there? And
They showed she was in one of the qualifying matches,
but they didn't mention her at first. Is that what happened? Because I know they had a video package.
They did. They had like a little vignette of Asuka, like, you know, hyping that she was coming back, and then she was on the graphic for one of the qualifying matches.
I think they must have showed the graphic first, because that's what I was seeing on wrestling Twitter, is that they spoiled it by showing the graphic and then they showed the video probably. Whatever. Either way,
she's back.
Either way, she's back, and it's awesome. Asuka belongs in that division. And putting her,
I want to see them restore her to like a top level person, though. I want to see her back like as a title threat.
Remember the undefeated streak she had for a minute when she first
in NXT she had.
It was amazing work, man. But I'm curious to see, because there's new matches for Asuka now. Stephanie Vaquer, there's Roxanne Perez. There's just new stuff for her to do, and I feel like they need to push her, like you said, they need to push her back up that ladder, make her like the dominant Asuka that she was, because I love that version way better. So glad she's back.
I agree 100%. I'm definitely a fan of Asuka being back on my TV. I just, like I said, want to see her
know how she does that mist. She's so sneaky with the mist, you know. Never catch her with the, you know.
Can't give away the tricks, man. Can't give away the trick of the trade. All I know is I don't need her spitting it at me. Shout out to everybody who's watching. It says we got about 150 people in here right now. Make sure you guys hit that comment button, share button, subscribe button if you haven't done that. If you're checking us out on Millions, make sure you go buy a shirt. Ring the bell. Go buy you a shirt. All right. Now that takes us to John Cena and Logan Paul versus Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. I think we both said Cody and Jay were going to win on the D-Max show.
Yeah.
Well, not D-Max show, Grind Time show. But I will say, though, what's interesting is all of the I guess the where we go from here, though, when you think about it in terms of, okay, Cody and Jay won. I've said all along, I think whenever Cena loses the title, I kind of almost feel like Cody's got to kind of take it back off him.
Yeah.
Or at least that's where it seems like we're headed. And then it's also interesting because, they were hyping it up that it was going to be Jey Uso and Logan Paul. But as we saw on Raw, which we'll talk about Raw in a second, we saw that Jey Uso is no longer your champion. So Logan Paul versus Gunther.
Yeah. We'll start with the match. The match was great. What a great tag team match that was. And the Logan Paul John Cena heel factor that we didn't know we needed was beautiful work, dude. Even at the end when they got into the little scuffle, Logan with the drone camera suplex thing, that whatever that was, how dope was that?
I like that stuff. As long as you can pull it off and it looks smooth, I like it.
Yeah, so the drone, there was a crowd video. The drone just kind of floated to him while he's on the top rope, and he just caught it. And he just held it while he got suplexed. How cool was that, dude? That was awesome. Whoever thought that, great job. The match itself, awesome. And then I think nobody expected what happened at the end of that match, which was for Ron Killings to return and knock out John Cena with the belt. That place went nuts.
I loved it.
The DraftKings Sportsbook and social, the party went crazy. That was awesome.
I'm glad it happened. And then, you saw all the stuff after the fact when they were saying about Triple H saying, it was all part of the show. I don't know that I believe that. I think R-Truth was completely gone because Truth came out and said it wasn't a work. His kid said it wasn't a work. So regardless of what happened, I think it's dope that R-Truth, Ron Killings, is back in WWE.
Yeah, and it showed on that one though. You know what I mean? You don't have to say it's part of it. Just own up to it, dude. These things happen. Shit happens. The cool thing was the crowd reacted, their voices were heard, and they did something about it. In the end, that's what matters.
Yeah,
Corey,
man.
Corey
has joined the show, but yeah, man. Like I said, man, it was like you said, it was a great time.
What's good, boys? How you been?
What's up, dude?
We were just filling everybody in on our thoughts of Money in the Bank. Like I said, it was good times. We were 50 deep at DraftKings. Shout out to DraftKings. We had the whole place packed. It was a good time. Like I said, I think we were both on the same page that John Cena and them were going to lose this match, but I'm more surprised by what happened the next night with Jay losing the title, because now it's just it seemed like the way that tag match was set up, that it was kind of Logan Paul and Jay were going to kind of square off, and then you got Cena and Cody on the other end of it. And so now that Gunther has taken the title on Monday Night Raw last night, that's kind of completely thrown that shit down the drain.
Yeah, I actually didn't really think about that until you brought it up, because they were already hitting around that
they were promoting that was going to be a match. Yeah. That's why him winning the title like that and by choking Jay out on Raw was not I was not expecting that, dude.
Yeah, good point.
I think that match went the way we thought it would at Money in the Bank, but that was a definite twist that got thrown in on Monday. And then that takes you to the men's Money in the Bank match, which, hey, you Solo! That shit was so dope. Jacob Fatu is entertaining. Keep Jacob Fatu on my TV. I just don't want to be on the other end of that guy when he gets going, coming at you on the other end. Because, man, between him,
bad dude,
him, Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo, you got Braun Breaker and friggin' Bronson Reed on the outside, dude. There were people's bodies getting cracked. I think Jacob Fatu is going to be a monster baby face, dude. I cannot wait to see that shit. And that spear,
real quick, what did you think of the the Fireball branded ladder?
That was pretty funny. You climb the fireball ladder, get you the money in the bank.
Just to I don't know if you've been seeing anything, but pretty much every furniture piece in WWE has a logo on it now. And the table,
all the tables got Slim Jim.
The ladder was a red Fireball whiskey ladder. It is like all branded stuff right now.
Oh gosh,
I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest.
8 different things in the ring.
I know it's a little off topic, but are you guys getting sick of the TKO shit yet, or what? Because I know I am. Constant branding and branding and branding and branding.
I know. I've seen a lot of fans complaining about it on Twitter, though. I've seen that a bunch. Like I
can't say I'm sick of it because it honestly it doesn't bother me that much. It's just a change in like the culture.
It just looks weird to me, bro.
It's just something we're not used to. I mean, wrestling's been around since the beginning of time, since the dinosaurs.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
I'm okay with all the logos on the mat. Like I'm okay with that. Like coming from boxing, I can do with that. But I feel like the tables and the chairs and that kind of shit.
Yeah,
that's a little.
This table is brought to you by Ashley Furniture.
And it's not even like they just got like the logo on it. They're painting all the tables black, and then they got the Slim Jim logo just on one side of the table, and it's just
like I said, it's gonna be weird when like Michael Cole's like, oh my god, they just put him through the Slim Jim table. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that stuff. Don't ruin my wrestling. If you want to just put some fresh makeup and
like I said, I have no problem with them having the sponsors. I have no problem with there being sponsors on like the turnbuckle pads. Hell, at this point, I don't even care that there's the Prime bottle outside of the ring. But the table, I don't know. The table just was, I don't know. The fireball ladder to me wasn't so bad.
For me. You know what I mean? This next segment is brought to you by Mountain Dew. Look at us go.
These damn sport hawks, man, taking over the stuff we love and trying to make it all about money.
I mean,
fucking nuts. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, that was the other thing that was announced. They finally have announced where WrestleMania is going to be next year, and it's going back to Vegas. Which, I mean, all in all, dude, I had a damn good time in Vegas, but I still stick to the same thing I've been saying since they originally said anything about moving it from Minnesota. I want it to stay going to different states. I just feel like not doing that just takes away some of the luster of WrestleMania.
Have we even gotten to a point where they tell us why this happened, or did anybody come out with anything?
I've not seen any reasoning for it other than maybe that I've heard that somebody else had put a substantial offer, so I don't know if it just became one of those things where you got to figure it's probably going to take them. So WrestleMania happens in April. It probably is going to take them till about end of May or early June to really know how they did profit wise. My theory is that they went and got through all the profit wise and saw how much money they were able to make off of that, and then said, okay, we need to run this back. And I bet you Vegas just gave them a shit ton of money.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in the TKO world,
and it had to. That's the only thing that makes sense because I've never seen anything like that happen once it's already announced.
Things are just buttoned too tight. You know what I mean? So I feel like once you announce something, it's unless there's a real legit reason, I can't see them just moving the venue because WrestleMania sells itself, Kyle. You know how it is. You don't really need.
This is what can change it. You see that? This is what can change it.
All right, I want to pose a quick.
I just don't know.
I want to pose a quick question because I know it's been brought up with they have their own version of not the UFC Performance Center, but the WWE Institute, isn't it? What it's called?
That's where UFC PI they got the idea from it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. So posing a question here, would you rather it be some yearly thing where you can go like they do with International Fight Week, where it's you get to go there and there's some tour through the thing and you get to meet a bunch of the wrestlers and shit like that, compared to what you're used to with it now, where it's I don't want to call it a traveling circus, but you get what I'm saying. It's every year, like you say, it's almost part of the experience is going to visit a new place and somewhere you haven't been before. So would you be upset if they did kind of fold it into that International Fight Week style model where it's just hey, you come every year to where we are, Vegas? to say
Oh, no.
Vegas. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I just still think that that's like part of it. Like, I mean, while I think that's cool, they already have started doing like tours where you can kind of go through the performance center and things.
No, I do.
But-
I would not be against like. Remember how? So they've been doing Backlash internationally for a few years, right? Remember they did Puerto Rico. What was the last one? France.
Paris
right?
is coming
Paris,
up
yeah.
now.
I don't mind like that. Like you could take a PLE and move it internationally every year. Like that's fine. But WrestleMania is the mecca. You know what I mean? It's the end all be all. So
And it's
I think
become
that-
like the Super Bowl type thing where it like
Yeah,
kind of takes
so
over for the whole.
it just.
So
I
like
think it just needs to be like the
Corey's-
Super Bowl. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like let's
I
move it
think
around.
Corey's idea is cool.
Traveling.
Like if you did that for like say, I don't know, Survivor Series or SummerSlam, since it's like a warm weather pay-per-view,
Yeah.
you know, because their performance center is in Orlando. So I mean, okay, if you were going to do it that way and then run SummerSlam at the football stadium or whatever in Orlando, okay, I guess I could see it that way. But as far as WrestleMania, I think because of it's the same reason why when it was kind of being rumored that it might be Saudi Arabia, why I was kind of like, dude, if it goes to Saudi, you know, that's gonna really hurt the indies too, because now, like I said, you've got shows all week, just all over the place. And by going, if it would have went over there, then you don't have like the indies and all that, which to your point of what you were saying earlier, I really feel like it's become I think it's bigger than the Super Bowl at this point, where I mean, because of all that comes with it, as far as the different shows, you've got the parties, you've got the everything, and it's like for 1 week of the year, everything wrestling that's the epicenter of it, you know. And so I think WrestleMania needs to stay like that, but I'd totally be cool with seeing that if it went like a Survivor Series or a SummerSlam or something like that. I would be cool with it.
I just worry potentially that the writing may be, on the wall a little bit if that's what we're starting to see with it. But year to year and not much of a like rationale or excuse for it is, hey,
I mean,
business,
it's the first
like
thing
you
I
were
thought
saying,
when I
business
saw
is
it.
better. If business is, business is business and green is green and Vegas makes is green. That's what
I just hope, and I know like the whole vignette for it was completely different, but they better do everything different. Like if it looks anything similar to last year, the internet is gonna go crazy on them. Like it's just
and
that's part of the thing from an outsider's perspective. I remember it was like I don't remember how long ago exactly, but I remember seeing clips of one. It was at like the Tampa Bay, the Buccaneer Stadium, and like they really leaned into like the Pirates theme and stuff like that of it and stuff. And it was like, can you continue to do that kind of stuff if you're just doing the same place every year? I mean, I guess you can still change the theme, but it doesn't like.
It's still going to look similar.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like that's another thing. Like I think, that's another thing that I think kind of lends into the point of it being in different cities, because it always kind of had some kind of flair related to that city.
New feel.
And so like I said, just me personally, I talked about this with Sonya Deville, which if you guys are new here, make sure you go check that out. I got to talk to her in the Invicta FC press conference. But I just the pageantry of it is as big a part of it at WrestleMania as anything. And so if it gets to the point where it starts looking the same every year, I definitely think that can take away some from WrestleMania. I really do.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
No, dude. I mean, it needs to stay the grand spectacle. Like it's that for a reason. We've done this for 42 years now. Like if they come, put it this way, if they come in and fuck up WrestleMania, you think you had people mad about moving?
I'm already pissed that the Royal Rumble is going to Saudi. Like I'm whatever. Like I'll be honest with you, dude. I don't like any history shows. The Saudi shows have not been that great because of their demand in wrestling. Like, think about the Undertaker Goldberg thing. Undertaker, Kane, Shawn Michaels.
I think that's just because they were old. Hold on.
Dude, all this shit sucked. I'm sorry. All the Saudi shows sucked. And we got another one coming up, and it better freaking be good because you got CM Punk and John Cena.
I was going to say, we were going to get into Raw too. Like, dude,
Now, don't
Okay,
get me wrong, I do like the 1:00 start time. That's cool. I'm cool with that. But still,
as long as I'm on now that I'm off on Saturdays, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I to cap off that point, yeah, I'm very much kind of on that point. We already kind of talked about Gunther taking the title off of Jey Uso and what we're gonna see next as far as that goes. I was kind of surprised that they took the title off of Jey for that one. But it makes it interesting because, again, like I said, with them kind of hinting around like Logan Paul's going to get a title shot, him versus Gunther. I don't know how I see that going because Gunther needs to beat the shit out of him.
And I also don't see Seth cashing in on Gunther either. But hey,
I mean, how
know.
did you feel about that though? Because that was I think a lot of people thought he was going to win, but like, what do you think now that it's happened? Do you think that it should have been somebody else?
What, the Money in the Bank briefcase? Or are you talking about
Mhm.
Gunther? Oh, well, yeah, no, I'm cool with Seth having it. Like Seth, he's the best heel right now on Raw. I mean, it's just what it is. That's the best group. It's the best story. So I don't mind him having it, but he's like a troll with it now. You know what I mean? Like he can dangle it out there and cash it in whenever he wants to. Who's going to cash it in on? We don't. I wanted it to happen last night. But if we gotta go a while with him holding on to it, that's cool too. It's got to be right, and I think it will be. Seth, he already had one of the most historic cash-ins ever at WrestleMania on Brock and Roman. That was amazing. It might be the best cash-in of all time. But I feel like he needs to up that somehow. I don't know how he's gonna do it. Maybe SummerSlam, maybe Night of Champions. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe CM Punk wins it, and he cashes in on Punk.
There you go. I mean, and that ties right into what they were doing. All I know is CM Punk versus John Cena. That promo battle that they had on Monday was fucking dope. It took me back to.
I wish we had a longer build up though.
2011.
I'll be honest with you. I know what's Night of Champions like 2 weeks away. I wish we had a little bit longer because I feel like CM Punk could really throw some good jabs at John
If they're
Cena
cutting promos like that, though, they might not need 3 weeks of that. You give them a couple more times to kind of stir the pot.
Be real good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. All right, now we got to get to the other end of the show, and that is the UFC 316, which we had that on as well. Again, shout out to DraftKings Sports Social in Troy. Had good times over there. Fights went kind of how I thought they were going to go, to be honest. I thought that Kayla Harrison was going to destroy Juliana Pena, and she did. And I thought that Merab was going to do the same to Sean O'Malley, and except this time he submitted him. And then you had a big win for Vicente Luque. Or no, not for Luque. I meant to say for Kevin Holland. My bad. Kevin Holland getting the choke out on Vicente Luque, which is a big win because I honestly had Luque going into that fight. So all in all, UFC 316. It was a dope pay-per-view. Corey, you got any thoughts on Kayla winning the title or Merab defending the title?
Well, I kind of feel like both of those, to your point, Kyle, went like the way not only like Vegas pictured, but the way a lot of fans had felt like the sentiments going into the fight. And maybe that's why this pay-per-view, even though there was, I don't want to say good fights because it didn't turn out to end up being necessarily the closest fights in the world. There was good champions that people care about, but people didn't necessarily care that much about the card, it seemed like. All that being said, I thought O'Malley did better, even though he lost. I thought he did really well against the takedowns. I thought he did a really good job of being in and out with his striking and trying to land some power shots and, not be there for the subsequent takedown that would come from Merab. I thought he did a really good job. All that to be said, Merab did what Merab always does and kind of ran, got the ball rolling in his direction. Once the steam ended up in his way, it was lights out. And ultimately, that submission attempt was nasty. I mean, the way he cinched that up, it was quick,
Man,
As for Kayla,
go ahead.
I mean, I thought Juliana Pena would put on a little better of fight back than that, to be honest with you. I mean, shout out Kayla Harrison. I've been a fan for years, but I was surprised with the amount of dominance that we've seen in that fight. It was almost like there was zero resistance. It was just like, I'm here to claim the title, and all right, let's get this over with. And that's ultimately what it ended up looking like once she ultimately got the sub herself. So, for those two title fights, it was surprising the amount of dominance shown, but yet I felt like still, like I said, O'Malley did better, but then got finished, so maybe it was worse. But I felt like he looked better, so
He did look better, but I see that's my whole thing, bro. I feel like
you can't always judge a win or a loss, should I say, just because he got finished. You can't ultimately judge that, and especially leading into his next bout. I feel like depending on who he gets matched up with and if he moves up to 45 and stuff like that, there's plenty of room for him still in his career, is what I'm getting at. I feel like he really showcased the next level version of himself, and if he can continue to do that in between fights, we could see him potentially holding, UFC gold again in the future at some weight class.
I think he's going to have to kind of fight his way back up or either go.
I
up
like
in
him
weight
better with the
class.
colorful hair, though. I'll tell you that much.
I like him better with
Look,
the colorful
man.
hair.
You look good, you feel good, you fight good. It is what it is. Yeah.
I mean,
Bring back the
like I
colorful
said,
hair, bro.
I'm not surprised by the dominance. I mean, realistically, dude, as long as Kayla Harrison can make 135, I don't think there's anybody that can really stop her wrestling.
I've seen a lot of, not to interrupt, Kyle, but I've seen a lot of people kind of make the argument that maybe this Amanda Nunes fight should be at 145 just because she's
Kayla
coming
said
off a
that
significant
herself.
layoff. Yeah, I know. She was posed the question by one of the media members. I forget who exactly, but same thing. Like you said, she was like, she didn't quite say I would prefer that, but she basically said like 100% I'm game for that. So whatever that
Well, I
means.
mean, early predictions. What do you guys think about that fight? I mean, that's a goat fight right there, dude.
To see the way she ran through Juliana Pena, I do agree, or whatever that you're going to say, that Amanda Nunes is a different, lion. She's the lioness, she's a beast. The way Kayla just ran through her this last Saturday, man, I don't know who's, like actually motivated and focused who's beating Kayla Harrison right now. Like she's so beastly against these other women that it almost looks like she doesn't have to put in much effort to get things done.
I mean, like I said, for me, that's kind of how I thought that fight was going to go, to be honest. Her wrestling and judo is on a whole nother level. And I mean, if you watch the press conference before the fight, Juliana Pena saying, "Oh, you just got here," that's what you do when you come in there with that much hype. She went in there and beat the shit out of the champ. Now, do I think that's going to be how the Amanda fight goes? No. I think more likely we're going to probably see them both fight at 145, maybe to give Kayla a little break from trying to make 135. But it's going to be interesting, though, because the problem with that is, okay, so you have them fight at 145. It's not even really an option for Kayla to fight at 145 because they don't have a 145 division anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if they do, okay, have them fight at 145, but then there's no like weight class for her to go up. And again, that's why I kind of stick by what I was saying before the fight when I was talking with Ken from Potters of Destiny. I think Kayla's not here for a long time. She's here for a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think she's already basically accomplished one of the two main goals, which was to get the UFC championship, which now she has. And I think that fight with Amanda may be the other one, with the rivalry that we know was there. If you pay attention after they had their standoff and all that stuff, she went and shook all the hands of the people at ATT because those are the people that she was training with. Depending on who you hear talk about it, there's talk that the reason why Amanda went and started her own team was because of Kayla and all that kind of stuff. So, that's the fight to make. That's the biggest fight that you can make in female MMA, because realistically at 135, while yes, there are a few more matchups that are there for Kayla Harrison, realistically, she beat Ketlin Vieira before she beat Juliana. So I mean, realistically, she's already taken out the number 2 contender. So even at that, there's maybe 1 or 2 more contender fights.
Yeah.
And then she's basically in the same boat that we see with some of the other champions, where she's already, beaten them. I think it's smart moves on the UFC's part and Kayla's part, to fight Amanda next. Especially, plus, I mean, if you're Kayla, this really is there can't be a better time for you to have done it. I mean, she's been on the shelf for a couple years, retired, and then to come back out and then come right in to face you when you just won the world championship and are sharp because you've been fighting. Not to say that I would imagine if it came in like this, I'd imagine Amanda was already training if she ever really fully quit. But I just think it's going to be.
But when you retire, do you ever fully quit? Especially when you're at that level.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like, you got to figure that Amanda knew that there was a chance Kayla might be coming in before anybody else knew. And if she knew that, I wouldn't be shocked that she started training right then. Like, okay, that's a fight that makes sense for me to take, just in the case that could be on the table. Especially somebody like Amanda Nunes, I would imagine, went and got in the gym and was trying to
I mean, so even if there's not a 145 division, they could still pull a catchweight, right?
Yeah, you would just fight at 145. I mean, it just wouldn't be towards any rankings or anything because it wouldn't be for that weight class.
They could do a female BMF or something like that, though, for that type of fight. I feel like I'm sure they wouldn't mind adding another potential belt that they could throw out there in rotation every, year and a half or something.
I don't need to see no more of these BMF belts, bro.
They
look cool and all, but
it's for a matchup like this, though, where both women.
I'm okay with that. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying,
it's
to me,
not
the
like
BMF titles don't mean shit.
Yeah, it's not like, as much as I love Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, it's not like you're just throwing it on 2 guys that are, on their, one being on his retirement fight and stuff like that. It's, this one would be, for all the marbles belt, or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, because let's say Kayla wins that, if it's for the bantamweight title, is she just going back into retirement? So what's going to happen then?
I mean, I don't know how many more fights we're really going to. I'm not saying she's like going to retire right now, but I'm saying I don't think we're going to get.
I mean, if you beat Amanda Nunes, right, in your first title defense, but I'm a big fan of Norma Dumont. That's one of the potential, I think she's 4 in the division or something like that, right? So she very well could be the next contender if she runs through. Man, you're going to go in there and fight from that type of level to now fighting, Norma Dumont. It's not, just doesn't. So yeah, I would totally not be surprised whatsoever if she wins that fight and hangs it up after that. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, she basically did the fast track and she got the belt. Now she's a 2 promotion champion. She beat the
the same thing with Amanda, though, right? I mean, if Amanda comes out,
Amanda is only coming back because of this fight. I feel like
right now. Let's say she
this don't got shit to do with the title.
Now the title is going to be vacant after she retires again. So,
well, if they fight at 145, it won't affect the 135 title,
right? Depending on what they do, I guess.
Well, they've already both said they'd be okay with 45. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I think Corey Sandhagen is next up for Merab, or at least I hope that. Yeah,
didn't you say they were showing him at the post fight?
Well, they were already showing him they were showing him when they were out in the crowd and stuff like that too. Like, I think Corey Sandhagen's been next up for a while, and after what happened with Figgy, I think he's next up for me. And
to jump in on that point real quick, Kyle, as a Corey Sandhagen fan, I feel like this is the best time for him to get his title shot. He's been knocking at the door, to your point that you were just saying, for it seems like forever now. I remember that Aljamain Sterling fight was a number 1 contender fight, and then he fought Peter Yan shortly after that. That was a number 1 contender fight. He lost to a couple of he
Number one
lost to a
contender fight.
couple of those top guys, but I feel like in that time he's rounded out his skills a lot and isn't just one of these guys that goes in there and gets some crazy knee against, Frankie Edgar to knock him out or something. He like actually is strategic and fights it with like, forethought in there now. And he's been matched up against a bunch of the division's killers. He's put on tough matchups against all of them, win or lose. And I feel like now, having fought a lot of the like Umar Nurmagomedovs of the divisions and stuff like that, and I feel like as a fan of the guy, this is the best time for his career to be able to get this shot. He's learned a lot from all those fights, and I feel like if he's going to be able to implement it, now's the time.
Let's go.
No, I
I'm
agree
down
with
to see
that, dude.
fight.
I agree with that,
But-
dude. I think that
I
was
still
definitely-
say Murad's probably going to beat him, but I say that all that as a Corey Sandhagen fan.
I mean, look, dude, Corey Sandhagen looked the best he's looked against Figgy, and if he can at least bring that in there, he's got a good chance of it happening. It all just depends on if you can defend that takedown and handle the pressure that Murad puts on you. Well, speaking
Unbelievable
of
pressure. Holy shit.
right, and so speaking of pressure, man, I think we could both agree that there's not really much more pressure in a boxing fight than fighting Canelo. And now they have announced that Canelo and Crawford is going to happen in Vegas, and it is going to be on Netflix. I like this
date.
fight.
What's the date for it?
It's in September. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. But I am all about this fight. We've heard Dana White come out in the last week and all excited, like the first boxing fight he gets to promote is Canelo and Crawford. I'm glad that again, same like we talked about with WrestleMania. I mean, granted, in boxing, it's already like a big thing having the fights in Saudi, but I like that this fight's going to happen in Vegas. I think this is the best fight to make in boxing right now. I mean, I don't. You can't really give me a matchup.
This was stirring around when we went to the last Clarissa Shields fight. Remember, we were
100%, and that's why I say I think after Canelo kind of having that last guy that he fought that kind of ran from him, and now you got Crawford who's been looking to cement his name as the best in boxing for a long time and's widely been considered like the pound for pound guy for a while. I think it's a good test, and we're going to see if Canelo's really still got it. But I think that fight is going to be – I think that fight's going to do big numbers on Netflix. I think it being on Netflix is going to be dope. I'm happy that it's – yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Netflix is kicking ass right now. Their presentation on everything has just been great.
Oh, I love Raw in there. There's no more commercials, really.
Great.
Like you see all the shit in between the commercials, which is cool. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm all for it. I think it's a good fight. I still am kind of on the fence with who I think's going to win. In some ways, I think because Crawford, is kind of that. When I say like the young champion, like obviously he's been champ for a while and in the game, but I mean, as far as like being that star power, Canelo's been there for a while, right? So it's kind of like the guy who's like the current star versus the established star.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think it's going to be a dogfight. With the way that them two fight, I feel like even though both are very technically sound and very elusive, I think the combination of those two are going to make those two turn this into a fucking dogfight.
Be curious to see what the money lines look on that.
I would I don't know. It seems like Canelo can't be not a favorite, right? But then at the same time, like,
can Crawford be a
you
underdog?
know what I mean? Yeah.
That's why I say this is one of those fights where this is one of the best fights you can make in boxing because they're two guys that you mentioned their name and they are widely considered the best, if not one of the best, in boxing. Period.
Yeah. And my big thing is, so now that we've had 2 years, 3 years of this whole, Turkey Al Sheikh boxing takeover, now owns Ring Magazine, is now constantly putting on events. squaring up like you're just saying with these huge, boxing matchups and stuff that we've been asking for years, maybe not this particular one, but just like the plethora of matchups. One thing I want to say as a combat fan is I hope some of these fights start to live up to expectations a little more. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that in the sense of like, when you look back historically on what made boxing as great as it was and why it was such a like thing in its time, is those matchups were just like must watch TV. Like if you missed it, you truly felt like you missed out on something. And I feel like with a lot of these,
that's what this fight is, though. Like this is different than what we're seeing with the Jake Paul stuff.
No, I'm not talking the Jake Paul stuff. I'm talking the Turkey Al-Sheikh stuff.
No, I get what you mean, but I mean
the Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia's. There was a lot of matchups that were presented to us as fight fans over the last couple of years that we've been clamoring for years, maybe in one degree or another, but a lot of them have came to fruition now. But I feel like this newer generation of boxers aren't going out
that's
there
why
like
the
only one I can say that's really been showing up in these newer matchups is Teofimo Lopez. I feel like he's been putting out, but everybody else has just been kind of point fighting. And,
that's why I disagree with you though on this particular fight, because I feel like both of these guys go in there and fuck people up. Like that's what Canelo's known for. Like that's what Crawford's known for. And a lot of those fights, like you said, with Haney and Garcia and things like that, definitely didn't live up to the actual fight part of it. This fight, with who's in it, I feel like it can't not, because of the way both of them fight. The only thing that I think is going to be the most
I don't mean it as I don't think it will or something along those lines. I mean it more of like, we're starting to see a lot of these matchups materialize, and maybe they're not clamoring the fans as much as at least I was hoping. And to your point, I feel like this one has the potential to do that and maybe reverse the opinions of a lot of people. It's just, will we actually get that in the fight is what I meant. Yeah.
I think
you want fireworks.
I feel like this one you will, because this one I feel like just because of the way they fight. They say styles make fights. Like I think Crawford is the more elusive, but I think Canelo makes a lot of the people he fights have to bring the dog out of him.
So you're saying you don't think this fight's going to go to a decision? One way or the other, this fight's going to be finished somehow.
It could go to decision, but I mean, as most Canelo fights, especially if Crawford ends up being somebody that'll fight Canelo, I think there could definitely be a finish.
I have to put that one on my betting reminder list, because I feel like those odds on all those little things are going to be different and weird. So I'm going to keep that one in mind.
Absolutely, man. Well, we've gotten through everything with UFC 316. You got Money in the Bank. You got AAA. Shout out to Patchy Mix, man. I want to see him back, too. I think a lot of that had to do with short notice. I think he did okay, but shout out to Bautista getting the win. I want to see Patchy Mix in there back quick, because I'm a big Patchy Mix guy.
My man's got to work on that head movement. That was one of the fights that I was unable to catch live. I was busy at that moment. But I went back and watched that one, and now I also was a Patchy Mix fan. Now, I don't want to say was, I still am, but boy, does my man need to implement some head movement. He needs to either implement the wrestling earlier, or he needs to be more deliberate with his movements in the fight. He didn't seem deliberate in the fight, whether it was with the takedown attempts, with the striking. It was just kind of like he was there and going about it. You know what I mean? And you can't do that when you're trying to make a big of a splash as he was hoping to.
Like I said, I think
any of that had to do with like the pressure of being on the UFC stage.
I think
it absolutely could. I think it absolutely could have part to do with watching your wife, fiance, girlfriend. I'm not sure what Tatiana Suarez is to him. Watching her kind of go through a very struggling bout just like 2 months ago in the championship bout that she, her championship attempt. I think it could be a combination of, like you said, Kyle, the short notice, but I've also seen a lot of people say that same thing that I kind of feel like is if you're being as vocal as he was on
No, I
social
agree with
media,
that. And I'm
making
not
every
making
type
excuses
of,
for him.
but if you come out and say everything under the book, and then on top of that, you end up getting signed by the promotion, you get, I don't want to say a tailor-made matchup, but Bautista isn't like, we seen it in the fight, right? He's not overwhelming in the abilities that Patchy Mix struggles in. And even with the abilities that he brought to the table, he damn right dominated Mix. And I think it was just because Mix wasn't able to mix up what he was bringing to the table that night, and it really showed, man. He just looked like a deer in headlights to me through that fight, you know?
Well, we're going to see what happens in the run of one Patchy Mix. If you guys are new here, like I said, make sure you go check out last week's show live from Grind Time Wrestling. See me take a bump and run the ropes and all those good things. We've got our chat with Cedric Alexander that's been doing all kinds of numbers on Fightful, Body Slam, and everywhere else. You've also got our chat with Ninja Mac and that badass backflip that he did. Lots of good stuff to talk about there. But this Thursday, we have coming at you from ESPN, we have Mark Raimondi. He is the guy who works with the Atlanta Falcons, but he also just wrote a new book that is called Say Hello to the Bad Guys, the story of the NWO. We're going to talk about this Thursday. You can pick that book up via Simon & Schuster Books. Shout out to Two Piece Promotions. We were supposed to be up there this weekend. They got their fights. Looking forward to seeing what they got there. And like I said, just stay tuned. You never know who's going to be on the other end of this screen. So until this Thursday, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go pick up that book. And we will see you again on Knockouts in 3 Counts. Peace.